this is the second event that we are organizing from the Workflows Community Summit. The first one, we had a more restricted number of invites because we wanted to achieve a more focused discussion and try to identify a few of these challenges. But at the goal of this one, actually, we are trying to go and move forward, bringing more and more participants of the community here. So basically, this project, this event is organized by two projects, Workflows RI and ExaWorks. The Workflows RI is funded by NSF, and ExaWorks funded by DOE. Some of you already saw these slides in the previous presentation, but it's nice to show how we are evolving here. So we started on the fall with a community survey, and if you didn't have the chance to answer this survey yet, we will be sharing the link again with you. And if you can send to your users, your developers, we'd be very happy to try to understand a little bit more how people are using workflow systems, and they have been developing the workflow systems too. So in January, we have the first Workflow Summit that was really focused on developing the view of the state of the art, identifying crucial challenges. And as a result of that, we had a first report that we're gonna have a presentation by Henry Casanova just after mine, that he's gonna do a brief summary of this report. I know most of you already digging into that, so thank you for your contributions, your feedback, review, and so on. So right now we are running the second one, that is taking the results from the first workshop and moving these to more, try to move these into more concrete actions, and how we could go more into a technical discussion at this point. Then we planned, to do a summer workshop that we're gonna now soon to. We are still deciding on dates and agenda, and more like a fall, it would be more a smaller workshop that we're gonna be planning our next steps. So as I said, the goal of this workshop is really to explore the technical approach that we can do for realize the vision, of all the activities that were discussed and the challenge that were identified during the previous summit. So we have basically three topics of discussions here. They are from different teams. So from the first workshop, we have 6 different teams that we discussed, and from that recommendations, we figure out 3 different ones that it could combine different topics, as you're gonna see in the lightning talks. So the first one is a definition of a common workflow patterns and benchmarks. The second one is identifying paths towards interoperability of workflow systems. The third one is improving workflow systems interface with legacy and emerging HPC software and hardware stacks. So how we are structuring this way, it's very similar to what we did in the previous one, with some slight difference. So basically, we're gonna have these 3 teams as 3 breakout sessions that will be structured in the following way. First, we're gonna have, again, the 5 minutes lightning talks that actually each team now we have 2 co-leads that are gonna be pushing the discussion. So they're gonna talk about the motivation and the key findings from the previous summit. Then we're gonna have a first breakout session that will be 40 minutes that we call project development. The idea is you're gonna have 40 minutes to discuss, what kind of solutions and technical approaches can we apply to solve these issues that and how we could make the vision that we set on the first summit, with the key findings, how we can make this more concrete. Then we're gonna have a break, and we come back to the same breakout rooms. That idea is to take that solutions that we discussed during the first 40 minutes, technical approach, and develop a roadmap. So the idea of the roadmap is try to put concrete deliverables, milestones, action items, and imagine, when you develop this kind of roadmap, is how you would be trying to, push this work forward. Maybe you'll be the one doing that in the future. We will be the one, we'll be doing this together. But it's how we could put, this roadmap for the community to have some direction in the next, years. And then at the end, we're gonna have a 5 minutes project roadmap report by each co-lead of the sessions that are just gonna present what are the envisaged steps. So this is a much more hands-on that we are gonna work together to try to define these roadmaps and find these solutions to go to the next steps. So what we are expecting out of this workshop, this summit, two things. First one, we're gonna do again the report, and we're gonna try to do a fast turnaround to get it available. So the report has the summary of the discussions and more importantly, the project roadmap from the event. So everybody that is attending this meeting, will be co-authors and are welcome to contribute. We're gonna do exactly the same process as before. We are the organizers, we're gonna work first into the report, move to the co-leaders to give feedback, to know and contribute also, and then we open to the entire community to join and provide feedback and also contribute with text to the report. Then we're also going to have, we're planning to do an invited paper and discussion session at Works 2021. There is the Workflows workshop, and Kyle's going to talk a little bit more about that at the end. So the idea is to, this paper combine findings from both of the previous reports. That is the discussion of the state of the art, the current and emerging research challenges, and the solutions roadmap that we expect to develop during this summit today. So again, our participants will be co-authors of this invited paper, and we welcome everybody to contribute, and we really look forward for you to contributing for this paper. So we are not going to go into the details of each project this time, as we did previously, but we have the videos that are online. It's on the website. You have the links. I'm going to post them again into the summit channels if you want to learn a little bit more about the projects that we talk about, the Workflows RI and ExcelWorks, what are their goals and how we fusion this together. Also, you can go back on the website for the previous summit, and we have all the videos there too from the presentations of the lightning talks. With that, I would like to introduce Henry Casanova. There is a professor in computer science at the University of Hawaii, and also a co-PI on the Workflows RI project that is going to be talking about the previous summit and a brief summary of the report and the key findings of that summit.
All right, thank you. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. So I'm just going to talk maybe 5-6 minutes about what happened at our last summit. All right, so the first summit we had, we titled it a community summit or workshop. And so the goal was to try to identify challenges and some actionable directions, some of them technical, some of them non-technical, for what we could do as a community, meaning the workflow systems and workflow system user community. And we were looking for short-term directions and longer-term, possibly pie-in-the-sky directions that may be doable, but maybe with a lot of effort and time. And so what approach did we follow to do this? As Raphael mentioned, we sent out a survey to stakeholders in the community, so workflow system developers as well as their users. And the survey asked a bunch of questions, and it's still ongoing, and we're still collecting and analyzing the results. And the survey leads to surprisingly interesting results, and so we're looking forward to extracting more information out of this. And on the right here is a graphic you may have seen if you were at the previous workshop, which is, for instance, one of the survey questions was, which workflow system are you using, right? And so you see the diversity, of course, which is in itself a problem we have in the community, obviously, that maybe Doug is going to solve for us along with his group, in the next hour. But so that was one of the interesting questions. But one question was, what do you think are key challenges to move forward, right? And so based on the answers to that question, we defined 6 broad themes for the previous workshops. And so on the next slide, the themes were as follows: fair computational workflows, training and education for workflow users, AI workflows, exascale challenges and beyond, APIs, interoperability, reuse and standards, and building a workflow community. And here you see those people there who were the leads of their breakout session and who gave the lightning talks. So for the first workshop, we only had 1 lead per theme, and we have 6 themes. For this workshop, we have a lead and a co-lead for each theme, but we only have 3, and I think we call them topics this time around. Right, so it happened on January the 13th, and it had 48 participants. So many of you were at that first workshop, but we have way more participants this time around, so many of you weren't. And what happened is essentially what's going to happen this time as well. Each theme was discussed in a breakout session, and the goal was to identify and list challenges. Some of them were identified before the workshop, and then list at least one short-term community effort that would be worthwhile and doable in, say, a year, and then define at least one long-term effort that may be doable with high payoff, but with a lot more work and time. And so each of the 6 group produced the above, and also produced a sometimes very long set of notes from the breakout session discussion, right? So one very important activity that we're going to do as well during this workshop is to take notes of the discussion as we go through the breakout sessions. And so the outcome was this report, a 25-page report entitled Workflows Community Summit, Bringing the Scientific Workflows Community Together. Every participant in the first workshop is an author, right? And the report has been published and, made public, I should say, made available. And so far it's been viewed and downloaded quite a bit of time. You can see 451 views and 234 downloads. Right? And so that was the main outcome from that first summit. Now, some of you were at the summit and have participated in the report, so it makes no sense for me to tell you what's in there. And some of you weren't at the summit, and the report is 25 pages. So it also makes no sense for me to try to summarize it or any of the details in there, right? So we refer you to the workshop itself if you want to find specific items. But every discussion from each theme produced interesting directions, and many of them actionable, right? And so again, see the reports for all the details here. The meta finding was that there was a large amount of overlap between the directions that were identified in different themes. Some of that overlap was perhaps expected, but some of it was a bit surprising, right? And so this is very good news. And so this is what we've looked at mostly in the overlap to identify the topics for this summit today, right? So based on the overlap, we have defined those 3 technical topics because they are stones to kill many birds. And so that's what we're going to be discussing today. So that's it. And so those topics we're going to hear about from our topic leads in their lightning talks that are coming up right now.